I'm Joey,
I'm Jason.
and this is Metal
Monster
Review. Today, we're getting back to some classic monster movies. And earlier in this show, we reviewed a Godzilla movie. We did Godzilla vs. Mothra. But being that this is Metal and Monster Reviews, we are long overdue to do another Godzilla movie because what the hell? He is the king of the monsters, correct?
Oh, yes, he is.
So, what better film to do than his 30th anniversary? Today, we're going to do Godzilla 1985. Now, this film was released, I believe, in Japan in 1984 and called Godzilla 1984, The Return of Godzilla. And then a year later, it was released in the United States as Godzilla 1985. And it brought back, not only, hey, the 30th anniversary of Godzilla, why not bring back Raymond Burr doing his role as Mr. Martin, because that's what he's referred to in this movie, because at that time, Steve Martin was a big name actor as well.
Yeah,
and still is. Well, I don't feel that way about Steve Martin. The Jerk's a funny movie.
Oh, I don't either. I'm just an asshole.
Hey, fair enough. But you are a Godzilla expert. Would you like to discuss a little bit and talk to us about Godzilla 1985?
This movie here is really sentimental to me because, honestly, I think this is one of the first Godzilla movies I've seen. And I remember it well. My mom would always take me. I can't remember the name of the tape store. It was Warehouse. You might remember. You know Warehouse Groceries when it used to be there. Well, right next to it was a little tape store. I can't remember the name of it, but they had that movie there. And I rented it, and I was like, oh my God. Every weekend, my mom would take me, and I'd rent it and rent it and rent it. I feel so bad for my poor mother, but she would do it for me.
Hey, and you know what, though? You kind of watched that into the concept of oblivion here. You just watched it until you couldn't watch it anymore. And I'm sure you had it on a VHS tape, and you're probably going to wear out your VCR watching that. But you know what? To be honest with you, and as we've mentioned tape stores in this show as well, I remember watching Texas Chainsaw and renting it from a local tape store, and I watched it several times in a weekend. So I get that. You know what I mean? I totally get it. And here's the thing. This is a great movie.
Yeah, a lot of people disregard this one, that it's not a great Godzilla movie. I don't know if we're watching the same movie, but...
Look, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I mean, it has its faults, like every movie, but I could see far more worse Godzilla movies than this one. Godzilla's Revenge!
Boy, that's contagious, because I know I felt bad when I saw Godzilla Revenge! So, that must be pretty damn contagious. But look, in regards to Godzilla 1985, I thought it was a good return for Godzilla. You know what I mean? Because the last one they left off with was back in the late 70s. I want to say, was that Terror of Mechagodzilla?
Yeah, you're right. That was the last Godzilla
So there
movie.
were several years where we were Godzilla-less.
Yeah, there was 10 years. I think Terror of Mechagodzilla was 1974. So it was 10 years in the Godzilla movies.
So you went several years without it. So to me, this was refreshing. Almost as refreshing as all that Dr. Pepper they advertised throughout the day. Did they have, was their, where they were getting the endorsements from here?
Actually, you're right that it was an endorsement. Because I never sat and watched the Japanese version of this movie. I've always watched Godzilla 1985. And this version is heavily edited. They changed some of the stuff from the Japanese into this one, but they re-edited it too because they wanted to put Raymond Burr back into it. And America actually wanted to make this movie a fucking comedy. And Raymond Burr was...
I'm a little confused. A Godzilla comedy?
They wanted to re-edit it, the whole movie, to make it a comedy. And Raymond Burr was against it. He's like, I'm not going to participate in this movie unless you don't take it serious.
Well, how would you set up Godzilla as a comedy? He knocks over a building and you're wah, wah, wah. He comes walking out to the Three Stooges theme song or something. I don't understand how the hell would you do that. He just knocks over a building and they do the Seinfeld bass line.
I don't know.
Give me a fucking break. But it's time to talk about the plot about this a little bit now. So... here we go. We're going on. We open up here. There's a charter boat out there, and they come into terms and deal with a lot of radiation and almost like rocks coming to life as they were discussing it there. And somebody passing by, a reporter passing by, finds the ship and finds that the crew is dead, and finds that there's these giant mutated sea lice that was attacking the crew. And they begin discussing this with other newspaper reporters and biophysicists and say, hey, look, the temperature of the ocean has changed. It's gotten a lot hotter. And different things happening within nature here. They're finding higher levels of radiation. And just to know, and lo and behold, it's our friend Godzilla. And I love how when they first reveal Godzilla, just with that guy walking outside.
Oh, it's my favorite reveal of Godzilla.
It is cool.
Poor guy had mind his own goddamn business.
Just the sidewalk and everything cracks in front of him.
That's the part though when you just said the side. He just walks out and you just see the sidewalk split open. First of all, I want to know how did this guy fucking miss this 200-foot monster standing in front of him? He just walks out and nothing happens till he doesn't notice anything till the sidewalk splits. And then,
like he didn't notice this giant monster standing beside him. He's like, well, I'm going to run outside and catch a smoke before I have to go back to work. Whoa. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, I get that. But that was a totally cool reveal. And I even like the sea lice. I thought they were really creepy.
You notice the one thing about this movie too is all the small little details in here. You mentioned about the sea lice. Did you notice the harpoon stuck in it?
Yes, I did actually.
So it's like, I noticed that a couple years ago, but it's that little small detail that the people that were on the ship were fighting this stupid thing, and they had a little harpoon that was still stuck in it. But when you were talking about the reveal, what I like before the reveal of Godzilla is when he first arrives to that island. You get like the bird's eye view of Godzilla looking down.
Yes.
And you just hear his light growl thing. That always creeped me out as a kid, is seeing the bird eye view looking down like, oh shit, this big thing's coming.
Yes, and I love it when Godzilla just weighs and destroys the city. And I tell you what, seeing this here, I thought it was totally cool, and just watching everything sit there on fire and just seeing the absolute destruction that he just created and caused here. And that's one thing that you like and that you expect from Godzilla movies. And that part to me does not disappoint you at all.
When you mentioned about the reporter rescued the only survivor from the boat, turns out he has a sister, and they don't want nobody knowing that he's still alive because he knows it's Godzilla, and Japan doesn't want to put the whole city in a panic, so they want to keep Godzilla.
Yeah, let's just sweep this under the rug a little bit and not mention anything here. You know what I mean? Let's keep everybody just at bay.
Well, once G-Man attacks the sub, it's causing conflict between everybody because they think, oh shit, the U.S. attacked this Russian sub. But this one, they got to come out, hey, listen, it's our old friend Godzilla. He's being an asshole.
Yes, he came back to visit us after all these years, and he's destroying subs and destroying the city. And they have to elaborate on how to destroy Godzilla. And I like how they brought in this concept of the Super X, which I thought was kind of cool. You know what I mean? That was something different.
This is the only movie besides the original Godzilla that he doesn't fight a monster.
This is true. And it's almost like it's pretty much almost like a revamp, really, of the original.
Man, what they're really proud of that Super X. It has its own goddamn theme song.
Yes, it does. It's heat resistant, it shoots missiles, and it'll fucking make you breakfast. You gotta love this thing, man. Heated seats and everything. You know what I mean? But it unfortunately does not stop Godzilla, and I love when Raymond Burr says, no matter what you do, Godzilla will live. And that's what I love about him. He's so indestructible. And even when he got a hold of that reactor and he's absorbing the radiation, and it's like this, I don't know, a lot of people might criticize this movie. This is one of my favorite Godzilla films in the franchise. You know what I mean? Because I love seeing this. You know what I mean? Watching him again, instead of being the savior of Earth, which I was cool with those movies as well. But now he's back to being the villain. And I do like that concept because he took a break and he went back to his roots. And now he's a villain again.
I think this movie, too, has a lot of great camera shots of Godzilla.
Yes,
to show his size and power. One of my favorites is towards the end of the movie when they get there. I'm going to reveal the plan to destroy Godzilla. I don't want to ruin it for you. But whenever Godzilla's finally leaving, just the shot of them two holding each other, and you see Godzilla walking away.
Yeah.
You just see all the destruction what he's fucking caused.
Yeah. And that's it. And that's with Godzilla too. And this one to me has a unique ending. Now, I am not going to spoil this one for you because I know in this show we've often given out spoilers, but we've often told people, hey man, spoilers ahead. But he ends up battling with the Super X. And of course, how many Godzilla movies have you seen where they're shooting missiles and fire, and the planes and everything? This one has a completely unique ending, and I don't want to spoil it. It's almost like you're using nature to combat him, and I like that. To a degree. To a degree. A modified form of nature, if you will.
They actually made a giant freaking robot for this movie, Godzilla, like a 15-foot robot. They planned to use that for the whole movie, but they didn't. They went to the guy in the suit, but they actually used the robot for certain scenes.
And that's pretty cool. Because you know what, though, in all honesty, as we've mentioned before, you know what I mean? There's a specific art to it, you know what I mean, with these movies, because you're filming from low angles. You have a guy in a costume. Yes, I get it, and it's all modeled sets. But when you're filming from low angles and it's different camera angles, there's an art to it. You know what I mean? And these guys who do these movies have pulled this off.
Another thing I want to mention, too, I want to mention two things, but the first one I want to mention is the soundtrack, the theme song. This is probably one of the, besides the movie The Thing, this is probably one of the coolest goddamn title screens I've ever seen.
Yes, I love that. And
ever.
Yes, with the fire, and it just spells out Godzilla 1985.
And the music.
Totally fucking
If
cool.
you don't want to watch this goddamn movie, at least go to YouTube, type in Godzilla 1985 soundtrack. And
yes.
that music playing, and you see the fire. What the hell? Then all of a sudden the fire spells Godzilla.
Yes, that is totally awesome. I really enjoyed that as well.
And the version I have, this isn't on it, but back when I was a kid, when I read it on VHS, I'm sure you've seen it before Godzilla comes on, has the little Bambi meets Godzilla.
Yeah, I've seen that. You know what I mean? And if you haven't seen that, look, it's 20 seconds long, and it's set up like a black and white cartoon drawing, and it's just, for a Godzilla fan, it's just going to put a smile on your face. That's all it is. You know what I mean? But yes, that is entertaining, and I believe it's on this VHS copy that I have here as well of Godzilla 1985. I believe that is actually on there before the movie, which I thought was totally cool. And I'm wondering if that was released in the theaters, because 1985, Godzilla 1985 did have a theatrical release. Is that correct?
This one, and the next one was until Godzilla 2000.
Wow.
Because this is the reboot of Godzilla now. This is a sequel to the original. It ignores everything except the original Godzilla, and they consider this one the first one in the Heisei series. And this one spawned a sequel. And what's cool about the Heisei series is every movie follows where the last one left off. It's like I can't even say that word.
A continuous story, yes.
That's what's cool about this series. But this is the first one in this series.
And you know what? You brought up a valid point, because I never really thought of that. A lot of Godzilla movies, you can pick up in a lot of them and just start wherever, you know what I mean? But there are certain ones, and you're correct, because these do have sequels. I know Godzilla 1985 had almost a direct sequel, because the way it ended helped create another monster. And I'm not going to get into that. Maybe that can be a future review, because that'd be a fun one to do. But you are correct. And they kind of continue upon themselves and makes it a whole one big story, really.
Yeah, but all these other Godzilla movies after this never got a U.S. theater release. It wasn't until, Godzilla made theirs in 1999, and when it came over here, they called it Godzilla 2000. That was only because of the abomination we made when we got the rights to it to make Godzilla in 1998. Toho was so pissed off because they fucked it up so bad.
Yeah,
so
they were not happy.
They ran, hurry up, and made another one. In all honesty, if they wouldn't have called that 98 Godzilla, it would have been a cool monster movie.
I see where you're coming from.
When they slapped the name Godzilla on it and That could be another review, a bitch review.
A bitch session review for sure.
We'll save the rest of it.
Yeah. Chug. We gotta get through Godzilla 98. Chug! And Silent Night, Deadly Night 2.
Oh, God.
Silent Night, Deadly Night 3.
Oh, Jesus.
Why am I alone here? Yeah, I don't get it. But anywho, all kidding aside and all levity aside, Godzilla 1985 is definitely worth a watch. And if you haven't seen it, hey, be sure to sit down and watch it. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button to Metal and Monster Reviews, be sure to do that too. I'm Joey.
I'm Jason.
And this is Metal
Monster
Review.